Hey, welcome everyone to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We are here again, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about this time. I'm Les Jackson, of course. He's Fred Staab over at the other mic. And Fred, how's it going over there with that big pile of papers?
Yeah, it's going well, Les. We've got a lot going on. We're coming up on the beginning of summer, and,
Yep.
there's still a lot going on. There's still a lot of reveals because reveals happen around the
Mm-hmm.
clock. One that's going to be a little delayed till later on this year is going to be the new Jeep Cherokee, a big, important vehicle for them.
Very.
But they're delaying it a little bit longer to get everything right.
Well, you have to do that. You just can't come out with something that's all kludged up. And we'll talk about it. Over at GM, they invest big in the sixth generation small block V8, but they get sued over its current fifth generation engine. I've never heard of this happening to GM.
Yeah, a lot of failures. Over almost a million vehicles. Vehicles just there's some kind of engineering problem, some kind of problem with the crankshaft. It's terrible, and it
Hmm.
needs a full engine replacement. There's no rebuilding it. So we'll talk about that and the big announcement this week of the sixth generation small block V8. They're not going anywhere
Yep.
anytime soon. I would say they've got at least another 10, 15 years, if not more, of building. So we'll
Yeah,
talk about that.
it's got a great history. Just
Hmm.
a great history. And auto loans, Fred. Uh, I don't have an auto loan, but
Okay.
and I'm glad. But they're growing. They're growing with higher monthly payments and extended loans. I didn't think you could extend any further than they are.
Yeah, exactly. And people just want them. They put $1,000 or more a month towards a
Mm,
vehicle, and very average type situation. And they're just, you know, they get out of it, and the vehicle's not worth as much. Uh,
boy,
we're going to talk about
that's
one vehicle that depreciation is amazing, 35% in 1 year. Can you
ooh.
guess that vehicle, Les Jackson?
I think I can, but I'm going to hold on it for a
Mm-hmm.
second.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And how about Acura?
Disconnecting.
Disconnecting. The older Acuras are losing their digital features. I think this is the beginning of something we'll see throughout some manufacturers.
Yeah, it is. We'll discuss it. It's an interesting story. And when you don't have control of your vehicle, someone else controls the server, as many
Yeah.
Fisker owners found out.
Hmm.
By the way, I saw my first Fisker Ocean
Oh,
on the road. And, it seemed to be driving along, but that's a vehicle they say if the servers go down, that's the end of it.
that's
It just
well,
stops.
that's just great. What if you're on a trip?
That's it. Brick it.
That's it. The trip
Yeah.
ends.
Yeah.
You're at
And
your destination.
that's right. And we're going to
Yep.
talk tech. Audi is working on a system that hears your tires slipping and will start applying brakes or anti-lock brake systems before you even hear it slipping. So that is interesting. And also on tires, are your tires an international spy? Well, one
Okay.
manufacturer says they're being accused of that, and we'll tell you about that.
I feel a Boris and Natasha joke coming, but I haven't worked it out.
Yep. And then I've got an at the wheel review of the Toyota Corolla FX. It's
Hmm.
a new model for the 2025 model year, and it is a bit of a value. It's got a real sporty look. It's factory lowered, Les Jackson.
Aha. Well, whenever Toyota makes something, you can be sure they do it right.
Yep, indeed, indeed, indeed. So we are going to talk about that and more when we get rolling on this edition of Cruise Control, your on air automotive magazine. Let's jump over to Jeep, shall we? And Jeep, of course, needs this very popular vehicle, the new version of it, the Jeep Cherokee, to make some sales because when it was removed from the lineup by the previous faulty management, it left a big hole in the Jeep fleet, and now they are looking to get it back in there. But the problem is, it will be a late 2025 debut, but it will be pretty much an all new vehicle from the ground up, and it will be hybrid and plug-in hybrid options and a lot of new technology. It's going to be a big vehicle for Jeep,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they wish if they could have it in their lineup right away, they would.
And also, the existing Cherokees for the past, boy, I mean, we've tested Cherokee, um, you know, uh, various models for close to 30 years. They're all highly worked out. They're all highly liked by the
Mm-hmm.
by the owners.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to do it right. They know they have to do it right. They are doing it right. And I don't know what the dealers do. I guess they just take orders. I mean, waiting for
Yeah.
it to drop.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the reason they're delaying this is not because even they have to work out the kinks, it's tariffs. Let's face it, they don't
Yeah,
know what's
yeah.
going on. I believe this is built in Italy. I might be wrong about that, but um, it is going to be a big vehicle for them. And excited about, once again, a small crossover that offers plug in hybrid or hybrid capability. It seems smart to me, right?
Well, yes. And once again, the tariffs just rear their ugly little heads. Um, it's difficult for car manufacturers to figure this out.
Yeah.
And of course, the public, it's even worse. Imagine trying to order your truck with, as up to a million different configurations, and every one of them, not every one, but some of them, because the components come from somewhere else, have to be worked out. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is, and we're going to get it more into that as the show continues, because
Yep.
obviously big developments this week. The takeaway there is the tariffs on cars don't go away. There's a reason for that. We'll get into that later, even though
Right.
some of the tariffs on some other things are temporarily at least blocked. And then we'll also talk about some manufacturers holding the line. Remember that song? Wasn't that a '70s song, Hold the Line?
Hold the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but others are not able to do that. So we'll talk about that. But excited just to put a button on it. The Jeep Cherokee, can't wait for it to come in. Can't wait to drive it. It's going to be something very interesting, and we'll keep you up to date as we have anything more on that on Cruise Control. Let's talk a little bit about something I never really thought this would be a problem for GM because they built many V8s, and V8s have been around for a long time. Pretty much they run forever with GM, but not so much when it comes to the 6.2 liter V8 engine. At least lately, there's a massive recall, and these are in everything from Cadillac Escalades, Chevy Silverados, Suburbans, and Tahoes. And, these things just go to a no start mode where they will not start. And it has to do, and I don't know if they've proven this completely, but it has to do something with the machining of the crankshaft. That's one issue on it. And then rod bearing damage that is caused by sediment buildup in the
Hmm.
connecting rods and crankshaft oil galleries. And it could be that one issue, as I said previously, crankshaft dimensions out of spec, which leads to failure. But there's no fixing these engines. There's no putting a new crank in it and
No,
a new valve
it's
train. It's over. Debris goes all through the engine,
yeah.
and these, these will be scrapped. And I wonder, Les, question for you. This comes into a dealer, your Cadillac Escalade, it won't start. Okay, we're going to have to replace the engine. They don't send that engine off to the junkyard where someone tries to put it in a hot rod and now that problem is back, right?
Well, that's right. Well, they're not supposed to.
Right.
Um, it's a warranty buyback. It's supposed to travel, should be going back to GM so that they can write it off, write off the cost of the engine.
And punch holes in the
But,
block, make sure no one
right.
ever uses it.
And, they may take some of them for test purposes. They may use them for internal purposes, but theoretically, it should never get out there to the public. So,
Right.
but they do. I mean,
Yeah.
let's face it, they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. So, and well, suppose somebody pulls one out of a wrecked GM vehicle.
yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah. And now you have that. You built this custom car, and it's like, oh, this
Yeah.
thing had 2,000 miles on it, so it's a great V8, and then boom,
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is, that this particular uh, class family of small blocks has been around a long time.
Yes.
And why is this just showing up?
Does it go down to one person machining cranks that punched the wrong number into the
Uh, it,
machine and they ran off 10,000 or more cranks that were out of
or
spec?
100,000? My theory is that it's not one, but it's one person or a group of people who make the crankshafts, uh, but it's not them. It's something went wrong either with the machinery
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't calibrated or lost calibration, or worse, the metallurgy, where the provider of the raw crankshaft, um,
Material.
spec'd the metal in a certain way, and it's not up to the quality.
Yeah. Do you think they'll ever get to the bottom of it? I mean, they want to because, you can't say I build great trucks like a
No,
rock because it's
no,
moving like a rock. It's just sitting there.
it's this is and it's happening in other companies. Kia and Hyundai are pretty well known for they replace them under warranty, but and I don't know what the percentage of engine replacements is. I'm sure it's low. I'm sure it's just like in the single digit numbers. But I know three people that have Hyundais that their engines have been replaced after 50,000 miles or so.
Wow. Wow.
And my advice to everyone who has an engine with a warranty, I don't care what the model, what the make is, uh, if it's under warranty, get your oil changes at the dealership. You need a chain of evidence.
Right. Say, hey,
If you
the dealer
take it,
changed it.
that's right. If you take it, I don't care if it's an ASE certified mechanics shop somewhere, you've lost the chain of evidence, and the factory can't for sure say that it wasn't caused by that. So they deny it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Excellent point, Les. Because there's another problem I know with certain Ford engines. They have a water pump that is deep in the V of the V6. The pumps detonate. The impeller comes apart and pumps the
Mm,
debris all through the engine. They say, well, you should change it at 50,000 miles. But basically, to get to that water pump, you have to take the engine apart. It's
right.
deep inside the V, which maybe that's great when you're building it. but not great
It's
when,
wonderful. It's,
yeah,
it's, I mean, you and I have built engines, for fun at factories, and they've timed us to see how fast we can build one. Um, that's great when it's sitting on a special rack,
right.
and all the tools are right there, and everything's perfectly clean. But it ain't easy when it's been in the car.
Yeah. The days of you think about external oil pumps and external
Yep.
water pumps, and it's easier to say like, okay, well that's leaking. Let
Yeah.
me
That's right.
But hey, wasn't there was it the North Star that had the alternator inside
That
the engine or something
Yeah,
crazy like that?
yeah. The North Star, which was a, it was a great concept
Cadillac
engine,
engine. Yeah.
great concept engine. Not such a great uh, production longevity
Yeah,
engine.
it's great when it's new, but when you have to
Yeah,
take it all apart like that to do
yeah.
something that shouldn't be a big deal. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, so with that in mind, if you have one of these vehicles, they recalled nearly 600,000 of these vehicles with the
Mm.
6.2 liter V8 engine. So far, it's only the 6.2. It's not the 5.3, it's the 6.2. So they are tracking it completely. And some people that had this happen are suing. They want to know exactly what happened. They want GM to know. GM will find out because they'd be dumb not to, so it doesn't happen again. But will they share it? Do they have to share it? I think they
Yeah.
should share it. Say, hey, we
Well,
messed up,
that's
but
right.
we're giving you a new engine. So what can I tell you?
Now, sediment buildup in the connecting rods, that smacks of extended uh, time between oil changes.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. But on a different V8 note from GM announced this week they're investing a very weird number, $888 million dollars in the Tonawanda propulsion plant. That's been around forever. That's near Buffalo.
Forever.
And this is for the sixth generation V8. So they're building a new V8. They will start production of it in 2027. This means the V8 engine stays around for a while. I would venture a guess this means the Corvette keeps a V8 engine for a
Uh,
long time.
you figure they, that's an investment to continue making something for at least 10 years,
Yes, at least 10 years. So
just to
so
amortize it.
2037.
Well, uh, I mean, but if you think about it, I vividly remember being invited to the Tonawanda plant
Mhm.
and the coincident Tonawanda marble tournament at I'm not kidding. It's been
No, this is another Les Jackson
It
thing.
had no. This Mark Twain wrote about it. This has been a tournament for about 100 years,
Wow.
and I tried it and I lost. But uh, we went with John Moss,
Mhm.
some of us to the plant when he unveiled the new small block, the aluminum small block, and that
Wow.
was like 99.
Wow. Wow.
And they had already made GM had already made their millionth small block engine.
Yeah. I still like the first gen small block.
Well, we all do because we grew up with them, but
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
were terrific engines.
Yeah. Well, so what goes wrong? It's manufacturing, I guess.
Yep,
How come there are still engines from the 60s that still run okay? Obviously, they're a little worn, but was it simpler back then? Was it less complex? Was it a guy actually machining a crankshaft manually and checking
it
it?
is. It
Yeah.
is.
Something happened here, as you said.
I
Bad steel.
If I had to guess, I'm going to say it was the wrong metallurgy.
Do you think this is a time bomb for them? Like, if you have a 6.2, do you think they have Do you think they have nailed it down? Like, you know, on a certain day for a month and a half, the bad crankshafts were made. We've
Yeah,
tracked those crankshafts, and they're in this amount of vehicles.
they know
Or do they
the.
feel like if you have a 6.2, you never know?
I think they know. I think they've got the barcodes from all those engines. They know the VINs
Hmm.
of the models that they put them in.
Do they wait till it fails to replace it, or do they say, "Hey, you're
Well,
going to need a new engine"?
well, they recalled 600,000. So the question is, how many others are out there that they're kind of hoping? Well, we're not sure if those are going to fail.
That's kind of a big thing to ask dealers to do, isn't it? Swapping engines. It's
Well, yeah,
it's
I mean,
and if you line them up, stack them up on all those vehicles, like oh, here's like 20
that.
Escalades that need new engines.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work, right?
Well, absolutely, and even though GM made the engine, and it doesn't cost them anywhere near what it would cost you and me
Yeah.
in a
If
crate.
if you were buying it,
Uh,
what would it be? 10 grand?
but I'm sure that it still costs them with everything, probably close to $1,000.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
Um,
Would you feel bad if you had a new vehicle and they put a new engine in it? As long as it was done well, you're getting a new
as
engine.
long as it's done well, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But
As
I now realize that my vehicle doesn't have a very good resale value.
well, that's the problem. Do they give you money for that, or do they say, "Hey,
No,
your problem was an engine. I fixed it." But
we fixed it.
are all the
It's
connectors connected? Does everything
it
work?
continues the warranty. It doesn't overheat.
Yeah.
Drive it until the wheels fall off.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Well, let us know. Have you had one of these 6.2s that had a problem? And what was your experience like when you brought it back to the dealer? Let us know about that. We're always glad to hear from you on Cruise Control. You have a story about auto loans, Les Jackson, and it this comes from Edmunds, and it is wow, it blows your mind really that Edmunds is saying that auto loans are extending out further and further and further. 7 years now
Well,
is
they've been,
common.
in the extreme. They used to be uncommon at 84 months. Now it's common. almost 20% of new vehicle financing
Right?
is 84 months, and I find that very scary because you're upside down on your loan
Yep.
within just a few years,
Yep.
uh, which means the insurance rate has to go up.
Right. Um,
Uh, boy, I mean, this
it's
is
very common for. I don't know if you've ever seen this on YouTube, but there's a guy that works at an auto dealership and he goes around the room and asks the people working there, both in the shop and in the sales area, what do you drive and what do you pay? And the vast
hmm,
majority of them were paying over $1,000. And one guy said, "Well, I have two cars, so together that's close to $3,000
uh,
a
well,
month." So you're
I
working for your cars. That's it. Unless you're maybe you live in your car because it's the only thing you
I
can
think
do.
I think
Um,
you have to tow your trailer behind the car.
am I not remembering correctly? But I remember them being around 300, 350, 400, not that long ago, monthly
Well,
payments.
not not more than 15, 16 years ago,
Yeah.
um, because back then you could buy an SUV or a pickup truck for $28,000.
Right. So,
Um,
I also remember really crazy deals like $109 a month for a Toyota Corolla.
uh, in fact, I have a a brother-in-law who did that years after, and he was still doing that within 10 years ago.
Yeah, just wanted an inexpensive car
Yeah.
and not a bad payment. Um,
And back, I ordered a brand new Mustang
mm-hmm,
in 1965,
mm-hmm,
convertible,
mm-hmm.
blue with a white interior.
Boy, if you only had that and it was in great
And
shape.
well, no, I never got it.
Oh,
My father, who was in the oil business but worked with a company that handled oil for the East Coast, Chevron, but they also owned a couple car dealerships. And my father arranged a deal for the car, and it was going to be $92 a month for 3 years.
I'll take it.
I took it, but sadly, the owners of the dealership were in their private plane and they crashed and they were killed, and the
Oh no.
dealership, fell apart, and my order was canceled, and I ended up buying a used car.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like a deal. $92 a
92 bucks, and
month for three
insurance
years.
was $38 a year.
What engine did that? What did you order?
It was a 289.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just went, I went straight with a two barrel because I knew I could buy a four and a manifold,
Yeah.
which I did. That
Was it a
cost me.
manual or automatic?
It was a four-speed manual
Wow.
with a rally pack.
That would
Remember
have
the
been a
rally
nice
pack?
car. Yeah.
It was, yeah. Um, but
Wow.
I never got it.
No, no, no. Well, $1,000 monthly payments are holding steady here. Uh, wow.
That's $12,000 a year,
Yeah, yeah.
plus insurance, plus gas.
Consumers are still financing more than an average of $40,000 for new vehicles.
Mm.
Uh, 0% finance deals have all but gone away.
I haven't
Um,
seen an ad for that in 2 years.
remember, there was a period where they did that, where there was a lot of that. 0% financing for very well qualified buyers. That's what they
Very
would.
extremely, and you were generally very well qualified, meant you were paying retail.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
and interest rates are historically high. Q1 of 2025, they were 7.1%. That's up from 6.8% in Q4 of 2024. So, yeah, I mean, you're basically living for your car. Now, there's some talk that there's a new bill that you could get right off $10,000 of interest paid for American-made vehicles. That's a
yeah.
proposal.
Remember when your car loan interest was always deductible?
Yeah, yeah. The problem with that bill is, what is an American-made car?
Yeah, and I can guarantee you no one in anywhere can define that
No, no,
yet. I mean,
no. I
accurately.
think the people writing the bills are saying the engine and transmission has to be made in the U.S. I don't even, besides like GM and that, is anyone making engines in the U.S.? I don't know. I
Well,
think Toyota does, but I'm not sure about other. But this, you would have to come out with a list, because there's no way you could
that's right.
confirm this. You
You
know.
know, they need to hire an expert as a contractor.
That's right. To say
I see an
what is an American car?
opportunity.
Yes.
I see an opportunity here, Fred. By the way, this is somewhat related to this, and that is, we did a story a week ago about, or a week or 2 weeks ago about no, a week ago about the odometer
Tampering.
falsity
Yep.
in Teslas.
Right. Oh, right. Let me refresh the audience. In other words,
Yes,
if you drove 20 miles, it would show 35 miles, right?
right. So
Okay.
all of these Teslas have been inflating the mileage to avoid the warranty exposure and also make you think you're getting more range on the cars. It's called fraud. Um,
there's a
and
there's a technical term for it.
yes, and there's a massive uh, class action suit. And there are over 100 people in the Department of Transportation who are investigating this.
hmm
Okay? Guess what happened to those people this week?
They all lost their jobs, probably.
No, they all got hauled in by the Doge people for drug testing
Okay.
in a harassment uh, issue.
Okay.
They're being targeted,
No, interesting.
uh, and yes, it'll be appearing in the newspapers very soon.
Well,
But
while
isn't
we're
that
on
just
that
something?
topic, from an article in Jalopnik, Tesla Cybertrucks lose 35% of their value in just 1 year. Yeah.
I, I,
So
yeah.
I still
Why
say
not?
this was made just to say, like, what would people buy if like, it reminds me of the Homer. Do you remember the Homer from The Simpsons? I built a car that no one wants.
Yes, the family truckster.
Yeah. So 35% in 1 year, that's huge. And this comes from the users of the Cybertruck Owners Forum. And they're just losing value basically from day one. Uh, it's the normal depreciation a vehicle would have after 3 years, but this is in 1 year. Uh,
Yeah, typical depreciation is on the order of 10% in the first year.
mm-hmm.
35%. Well, that's just a penalty for being so stupid that you bought one.
And it's and now the other the other problem is this was an interesting Cybertruck story. There's a mall in Detroit where in Farmington Hills where unsold Cybertrucks are being parked in this mall lot. This mall that I guess is either undergoing work or it might even be all closed up. But they are a Tesla store moved in nearby, and now the lot at the mall is filled with unsold Cybertrucks,
Um,
and people are like, "We don't, we don't want them there." They don't know where to put them.
well, yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I personally think they're ridiculous, but that's my opinion. I saw one. I see quite a few of them
Oh yeah,
around
one
here in
went by
DC.
me at over 100 miles an hour, and a little bit further up the road, guess what? It was pulled over.
No kidding. But one I saw about a week ago had a bumper sticker on it, and it said, "Please don't laugh at me. I don't know what I was thinking about when I bought this." I love the bumper sticker.
Yeah, it's a
It's,
very
yeah,
introspective bumper sticker.
I gave the guy thumbs up. Thumb, not other fingers.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do they keep making this? What do you think? I mean, if you're
No, I
if you're
think
making
it's
it, the appreciation is like you can buy one that was over 100,000. You can buy it for around $60,000, right?
right.
And you're making them, and now there's a glut of them on the market. You just don't keep making them, do you?
No. Well, any reasonable company wouldn't.
Right.
And an owner, if he bangs his truck up, just drive around and follow uh, other trucks because the parts are going to fall off, and you can.
Hey, there's that fender. There's that trim
Okay,
piece I needed.
that's right.
I
Okay,
found it
I
laying
need
on the
that.
ground.
Let me stop and put that. So no, I think it's a dismal failure, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I never liked it from the first time it rolled
Oh,
out.
I hated it. I
I
hated
was
it.
like, wow, that is. I mean, one of our colleagues said that can't be real. That that's
Yeah,
like some kind of like stunt that they pull at auto shows or something. But when he saw it roll out, he thought, nah, that's some kind of
some
thing that.
reviewer, some reviewer, I think Motor Trend, said something like only its mother could love this thing. So,
I don't. Hey, it's fine. You want to buy it? That's great.
go
But
ahead and buy it.
yeah, yeah,
I
but
don't think it's practical to use.
no,
I,
I
it's
just
a
I
it's a
don't get it.
truck. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't get it. But hey, there's something for every seat, as they say in the auto world,
absolutely.
and we will. If you bought one and you like it, that's good. That's good.
Actually, if you bought one and you like it, tell us about it.
Yeah,
Tell us what you like,
yeah, exactly.
how you use it. I'd like to hear. I mean, we're making fun of it because we just don't like it,
Yeah,
but that's just us.
yeah. So let's go on to an issue I think that we're going to hear more about, and that is Acura is deactivating Acura Link across multiple models starting July 21st, 2025.
Hmm.
So Acura Link is sort of like I guess OnStar in some ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Or Kia connected.
yeah, that
All of
which I
these things.
believe is all OnStar. I'm not sure
Right.
about that, but I believe it's all OnStar rebranded, right? Um, but it's going to be disabled for certain vehicles. This is from Car Scoops, and they quoted that they had a quote that says, as of July 21st, 2025, Acura Link services for certain Acura models will become inactive. This includes the ability of these vehicles to connect to Acura Link mobile app, the Acura Link mobile app. While only a limited number of customers currently in paid subscriptions are affected by this change, we apologize for the inconvenience and will provide them with a prorated uh, refund. So, from what it says, it's the 2014 to 2020 RLX, the 2015 to 2020 TLX, the 2016 to 2022 ILX, the 2014 to 2020 MDX, and the 2016 to 2018 RDX. Even the 2017 to 2022 NSX. Now,
Well, that's
2022 is not an old
that's three
vehicle, really.
years. That's
Yeah.
you're still under the original factory warranty.
Um,
But 2014, 2016. Okay, it's 10 years. Okay, I can see the motivation there.
well, what do you think this is due to? If you recall way back when, OnStar had an analog system, and when the older vehicles, they were old Cadillacs and things like that, when they were shutting that down
Right.
and going to a new system, the old system wasn't going to be compatible, so they would no longer access their OnStar. Do you think it's something like this? I don't think it's that when something's 3 years old. That's you should wait till it's like 10 years old probably to do this, shouldn't you?
I have a feeling it's more of a software issue that they just don't have staff big enough to keep updating. You know how your Comcast receiver updates every day,
Yeah,
and your car many times updates frequently.
yeah.
Um, Not your vibe, but
No, nope. No over-the-air
but
updates there.
hardly any. But I just kind of have a feeling it's something just that practical that They just don't have
Well,
staffs of people.
yeah. Also, there's not a large subscriber base here, so it's
That's
just
right.
not worth the money, or bringing these cars back in and
Yeah.
upgrading them. It's just not worth the money. They probably looked at the number. It might be shockingly small. I don't know how many people. It would be interesting to see a study on this. How many people uh, actually take like the server-based, online-based navigation that Toyota constantly pushes in its cars?
Probably not many.
Not
Um,
many.
you know, and again, you mentioned OnStar, which of course is the biggest, or was the biggest. D- why don't you think somebody clever could come along and offer an aftermarket version of these things?
I think they did try to do that, especially when the analog system went away, but I don't think there's a big market for it. I don't think people
Well,
use
I
them.
don't think there is either. I know I spoke. I used to know the head PR for OnStar
Mm-hmm.
here in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him once. I said, what do people use OnStar for? I know if it's in a crash, it'll notify the EMS. And he said, well, I'll tell you, but you can't publish it. so
Oh, okay. So don't put.
so I said, but I think the time factor is good. And he said that most people use their OnStar with the most frequency to look at their what do you call it, the daily horoscope.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I thought, well, that's depressing.
That's worth ten
uh,
ninety nine a month, isn't
well,
it?
yeah, I mean, anyway, um, because really, pretty much everything you can do now on your phone. So how
Yeah.
many
It.
people are using these on any kind of a daily frequency?
I just don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's
Yeah,
big. I don't think it's big.
I don't think so either.
Let's talk a little tech, shall we? This comes from Car Moses, and it involves an Audi traction system that listens to your tires as they start to slip, and it triggers the ABS wheel speed sensors to end that slipping. So if it hears your tires chirping, it will change things up. Now, this
Hmm.
made me think of some of the early anti-detonation systems where they put a microphone in the engine. Do you recall
Yep.
that? I believe it was the 3.8T engine was one of the first of Buick to have this. If it heard detonation, it would change the timing to stop the detonation. So there is precedent here for this. Um, but they say this system, Audi, this system will act faster than you ever could or than current ABS systems can. What do you think?
Well, um, I I think I, I don't know what the extent of people in Audis um, taking them to beyond the limits is. I am noticing some Audi behavior. I was talking to my wife just yesterday about that, but I'll
Driving
mention
behavior or what?
driving behavior. Anyway, I'll talk about it later. But um, the slowest sensors in your vehicle are the ABS sensors, which also are the sensors for the traction control and the electronic stability control.
Mm-hmm.
They're slow. They're 30 updates a second,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't sound slow,
No, but
but
comparatively to other
everything
sensors.
else is 200 or 300 times a
Right,
second.
right.
So if this updates quicker, then why not?
Interesting stuff. Well,
And by the way, I'm going to mention, um, I have been noticing, you and I talk about it all the time, with
Hmm.
other automotive experts, that there are certain vehicles that just seem to be driven by people who are less than highly qualified to do what they do.
Yes, I think I know what you
BMW
mean.
is one.
Yep,
Um,
Audi's another.
Audi's another. And I have noticed the Audis have overtaken the BMWs. I am seeing more Audis at very high speeds, cutting in and out of traffic, cutting people off. Just yesterday, no, Thursday, this occurred on the Beltway.
Hmm.
We were visiting a friend over in Bethesda, Maryland, which is around the other side of DC from where we live. And four different Audis did this, and we were doing 70.
Right, which is not
So they
fast
were
enough for them.
not fast enough, and they didn't know each other, I'm sure, but they were cutting in and out with that obnoxious, just cut real hard and no signals or anything.
Yeah,
Probably 85 to 90, and I just thought,
leaving like
okay,
a foot of space between cars.
yeah, really,
Uh, well, as we talked about on cruise control, uh, the California Highway Patrol calls that video game style driving,
yeah, yeah,
and it to me that happened at COVID. I never saw people do. Yeah, there
it
always
did,
be like a
it,
nut doing it, but that was
yeah,
very rare. They people would go fast, but they wouldn't do that darting back and forth.
right.
And somehow they think that is cool or good driving. It may get
Well,
worse with electric cars because
I think it
you can
might.
drive it that way.
I think it might, but it's what they're. I don't know what they're trying to. Well, impatience, I think, is one thing, but the other is, yeah, and of course, as you know, I actually rate people's driving skills, and these people have no concept of weight transfer
No.
and oversteer and understeer. They're just blasting. And they're going to get themselves seriously hurt or
Well,
someone
it's
else.
very selfish because they're doing that with someone that
Yeah.
just is want to go from point A to point B. They didn't sign up to be on a racetrack. It's not like
No,
we're all at Le Mans and we understand things are going to get racy and people are going to try to pass you, and that's fine. But this is, hey, I'm just going home. I don't need.
it's very, very reckless driving.
Yeah.
Uh, but Audis. I've been seeing this in the past 6 months. They've
Out BMW'd
outdone the
BMWs.
BMWs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mercedes a little bit, not
a
as
little
much,
bit.
but sometimes.
Yeah.
Then you always have the fool in the Honda Civic with the 6-inch exhaust in the back
Oh,
that tries
well,
to do that.
but you expect that.
Yeah.
Those, yeah. Um,
But the other thing I see, I equipment violations all over the place. Uh,
oh, yeah.
Tinted windshields, completely
Way too,
illegal.
way too tinted.
You're not allowed to have any tint in New York on your windshield. None. Not even the strip above it. So that's big. Another one, I always explain it to the people because they don't know how to use tools and take off a bicycle rack. So they leave the bicycle rack on all the time,
Yep.
and it blocks the license plate, which is probable cause to be stopped. And
And
then,
it's
your insurance is not up to date. Fine,
and it
fine.
sticks out 2 feet with no warning tape on
Yeah,
it.
no tape,
Uh,
no red flag, no nothing. Yeah.
you're liable if somebody gets hurt. You get,
You heard you can't even put a license plate frame around the license plate. Even some of the
yeah.
dealers plates, you could be stopped for that. Say it's blocking the
Well,
plate.
yeah.
That's kind of
Uh,
sketchy. But, if you have this giant apparatus in front of your license plate and there's no bikes on it, yeah,
yeah. You're
you could be
supposed. It
stopped.
has folding features. You're supposed to use them.
Yeah.
We're beginning to sound like little old men at the
Yes, I was
nursing
thinking that. I was going to say one more thing. The Thule box on the top. people
Oh,
leave them. They leave them on because they can't. Okay, that's a little hard to get off, but you know
well,
what?
okay, they're heavy.
You can get like a
Yeah,
strap and lift it up and drive out from under it, right?
yeah, and ski racks. I mean, I do see a lot of cars with ski racks, and it's summer.
Yeah, that was a styling thing once. A guy told me that once. He was a
Yeah,
younger guy I worked with, and I said, "Why do they have the ski racks on? Do they go skiing?" He goes, "Nah, it's just a look." It's like, yeah, but
I will
that looks
confess, when I had my Corvette, I used to leave the ski rack on because I wanted people to know, how what a cool guy
now
I
you just tie a
was.
kayak to the top for active lifestyle.
Well, yeah.
The signal. Um, one more tire story, and then I have an at the wheel to get to. So a lot to get to here. So this is an interesting story. Pirelli introduced something called the Cyber Tire. It's designed to revolutionize vehicle dynamics. It collects data, driving data. However, it could be banned because it is transmitting data that is restricted,
Hmm.
and Pirelli has a state-owned Chinese investor. So basically, they're being potentially charged with transmitting data to a Chinese operative. Your tires. This is from Bloomberg. Uh,
Hmm.
Bloomberg reports that Pirelli asked the U.S. Department of Commerce Bureau of Industry and Security for their opinion on a rule restricting the sale of connected car technology from China and Russia. Uh, you know, they 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 were told that these tires could face restrictions because of transmitting data. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. Now, these tires don't tend to be put on mundane vehicles
Right?
yet.
Nope.
Uh, the Pagani Utopia is not mundane. It's a heck
I,
of a vehicle.
I would say it's not mundane. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, but but yes, I just object to all of this data being thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using that's this is this is a pet peeve of mine you've heard before, Fred, and that is I hate wearing, especially in the summer, t-shirts that have the alligator on them, or I hate advertising for somebody else. If I'm going to advertise for you, I want a cut of the action.
This truly is the old man segment.
Well, it
Bike
it
racks.
it is. It
Shirts
is.
with alligators.
Yeah, I'm constantly sitting there with my sewing kit, taking all this stuff off. Um,
Oh,
but
I had that idea. I mean, way back when in the 80s, if you wanted to buy a black t shirt with nothing on it, it was impossible. Oh, it's
yeah,
got
yeah,
logos and that.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah. Now, thankfully, you can do it. But I wanted to have a place called just plain stuff, where it's here's a
plain black
sweatshirt.
shirt.
It's a black shirt. No logo on it. No t-shirt. Just a black shirt. But now you can do it. You can do it now. So I guess that's good.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
And anyway, well, listen, it's time for the old codger to get to giving at the wheel review.
Yes. Let's do that. Let's do it. It is at the wheel time. Let's talk about the 2025 Corolla FX. FX. It's a great little package from the folks at Toyota. It is lowered. You can see this thing's got a low stance on it, really. Factory
Yeah,
lowered, and I love the wheels on the thing. It has no extra additional power, which has got about 170 horsepower, I think, something like that. But that's okay. Cool look. I always thought the Corolla was kind of a pleasing, symmetric shaped vehicle, like the front and back are about the same length. This one was in black, and it's kind of cool. It's got a rear spoiler. It's got sort of a diffuser. There's a dual um, exhaust finisher in the back.
Hmm.
So yeah, not bad. Now on the inside, you have some capable cloth seats with the Go Fast stripe down the center there. Decent bolstering. They're not bad. I mean, they're not high end. You don't get a lot of high end features like heated seats or heated steering wheels or even leather wrapped steering wheels. And there's a lot of hard textured plastic, which says this is an economy car. Also, look at all those blank offs. No things on the
Hmm.
inside there. A lot of blank offs. Although we are familiar with this Corolla interior, it is getting a bit dated, but that's okay. You do get a larger display. Only one zone on the air conditioning and heating. That is a no-no, and that would be a
Wow.
deal breaker for a certain part, a certain person in my life. Which
Same here. Same.
Yes, yes. I don't know
Yeah.
why they can't include that. That's a 10.5-inch screen, by the way. I wanted to give you the number on that. They do include volume control on that audio system, which is nice, and a way to shut it off, which is also nice. These get a CVT transmission, which did a good job of shifting. It does some simulated shifts. There is a sport mode. Out back, decent leg room, a little tight on the headroom, but not too bad. You do get a couple of complimentary USB-C ports for rear passengers for charging. That's about it, but that's okay. It's better than some cars where you get nothing. Very familiar interior, dominated by that 10.5-inch screen, but missing things like that dual zone air conditioning. That's a big one. And the two tone helped break up the sea of black plastic. Out back, decently finished trunk, good room. In the trunk, no amenities as far as 12-volt outlets or anything like that. And underneath, you do get a compact spare and a jack kit, which is always good to know. It's there. Did not
Hmm.
like the fact that the hinge arms come into the storage area where they can crush things. I like that when they close them up. Weird location for the seat, rear seat folding latch. Very hard to do. They do fold,
So
and
you can't do that from the Outback.
nope, nope, you can't.
Wow.
And the pass through is a little small. Under the hood, we've got a fire breathing 169 horsepower at 6,600 RPM. It's a 2-liter port and direct injected double overhead cam 16 valve I4. Power goes through that CVT to the front wheels. 151 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 RPM. Curb weight on this is 3,070 pounds, which is not that bad. Good looking vehicle on the outside, and I like the package. 5-star frontal crash and side crash. It was not rated. 4-star rollover. I am amazed at just lowering the vehicle a little bit, how it makes it look pretty cool. I like the wheels.
It looks. You don't even realize it's a Corolla
No, no.
when it's that low, when it's slammed, as we say.
Slammed. Yeah. Gives it that attitude. If a Corolla has attitude, pretty big wing on the back too, without looking ridiculous. It's a
Yeah.
pretty decent wing. Um, the only thing I think that's missing on this are some of the internal interior features. I would have liked to seen heated seats up front. I would have liked to certainly seen dual zone air conditioning. It is available on other Corolla models, but not this one. So they're trying to hit a number on here, and it's a pretty good number when you think about what you get. 26,500. That is
Hmm.
before our
Hmm.
options and our destination. So breaking it down for your convenience package, $530. That brings in blind spot monitor with rear cross traffic alert. Certainly worth that. Connected services trial offering, black roof, which is interesting, $500, but it's already black.
Yeah.
So
It's
what else?
already black.
Just keep that black going. I don't know why that is. Connected service trial offering with connect. That is 325. Courtesy delivery. I always wonder what courtesy delivery. I'm not going to fly to Japan and pick it up.
Hmm.
Um, carpeted floor mats, 299. Does well on the highway, 39, in the city, 31, which is a wide spread, isn't it? 39 highway, 31
Pretty
city,
wide, yeah.
about 34 overall, which is not bad. Delivery on this is 1,135 for a total of 29,289 all in. Actually, this is built in the U.S. Blue Springs, Mississippi is the final assembly point. What would I like to see on this? I would like to see some interior upgrades and things like the dual zone air conditioning and heating. I think that is something that all vehicles should have by this point. They're just saving a little
Yeah,
bit of cash on
I
that.
have not, yeah, I haven't seen one that doesn't have it in years.
The screen size is great. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. I believe they're wireless. I believe they are wireless. I also like to see the interior upgraded a little bit. The materials, a lot of hard plastic. I know it's an inexpensive car. I didn't mind the cloth seats. I thought they were kind of nice. The stitching and that was fine. The rear room was great. Um, that's what I like to see. Less blank off plates. I hate blank off plates in cars.
Yeah.
uh, you know, but it's a good value. It's a good value. Make a fun commuting car. Great mileage. You can't get the hybrid in this model, but really, when you're getting 39 miles to the gallon on the highway, it's not as big a concern. And it's less than all in. It's less than $30,000, and you could probably do a little deal on these, don't you think?
I would think a lease would be quite inexpensive, probably 300 or less.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what changes that latch has to be changed though. That is bizarre that it's not on the edge of the vehicle, but there must be a reason for that. Uh, I just think it was weird that it wasn't on the the outside like everything else. You don't get an engine cover, so they save a little money
Well,
there.
but I like all of looking at all of the plumbing.
The plumbing and connections, and yeah,
Yeah.
I felt it had enough power. I really did. It was fine. Yeah, you're not going to break speed records in this, but it's a Corolla. Come on. Upgraded headlights. It's a pretty good deal. Pretty good deal at 29,289 all in. What do you think?
I I think it's very interesting. I would wonder if the screen sits a little bit high,
Sits
uh,
proud.
block. Well, I mean, but is it blocking any visibility, or
I didn't notice
does
that.
it just look like that in the?
I didn't notice that. Yeah. The other thing you have to put up with a less expensive car is you got to pump the seats up to get them higher, and
Oh well,
sometimes
yeah, yeah,
sometimes they do away with adjustability on the passenger seat, which is another negative if you have an
yeah.
SO in your life.
They do. Yeah, I don't care for that kind of arrangement, but I
Yeah,
understand why they do it. And the
cheapness.
ride is pretty smooth.
Ride was fine. Ride was fine, and I liked the look of it. I liked the look of it. It was pretty decent.
Hmm.
So for under $30,000 today, that is a deal.
Yep.
The Corolla FX. There you go. Hey, let's go into our second hour of great automotive stories. Let's kick it off. Volkswagen. It's holding the line on pricing when it
Hold
comes
the
to
line.
tariffs. Hold the line. Um, it can do it for a while. They're going to go month by month. We'll tell you about it, right?
That's it. You can do it for a while, and there is turmoil this week here in the
Tariff turmoil.
nation's capital
Yep.
and everywhere else. New ruling drops some tariffs, but it won't help the auto industry.
Right.
And what car manufacturer is making a big cash thanks to the tariffs.
Yeah, one is doing
There you
very
go.
well. Yep. And then BMW reveals its M2 CS for 2026. This thing is packed with horsepower. We'll tell you all about it. And it's even got those big wheel flares to get those big hoops there, uh,
That's right.
grabbing
But
the
if you
ground.
buy it, you have to weave in and out of traffic.
You have
Um,
to immediately start driving very
it's,
aggressively.
that's right. And Dodge unwraps its Hemi-powered Durango lineup, which is we've been waiting.
Yeah, yeah,
So here
it's
it
go,
is.
it's going to sell well, I'm sure. It will be a big seller for sure. So we'll tell you about that, and then a new study reveals what it would take to make some buyers select an electric vehicle. So they've kind of gotten it down to what is the deciding factor for all of those people interviewed. What would make them switch to an electric vehicle? So we'll tell you about that.
You're right. And Kia prices its EV9 for 2026.
Yeah, it's big three
They're
row
they're
electric
at
vehicle.
it big time. Yeah.
Yeah, so they will have some numbers on that and talk about that. And then I'm going to have an at the wheel review of a very surprisingly quick vehicle, the Hyundai Santa Cruz. This is the small pickup truck version based on the Tucson, and it is quite quite sprightly. It moves along quite nicely. It's over 600 pounds lighter than the Tucson. That could have something to do with it. And this one had the 2.5 liter T engine, which could help with that as well. So the combination of those two make this vehicle feel very sporty. And we'll talk about this vehicle and is it a competitor to things like the Maverick? I mean, this is sort of a different vehicle, but
Yeah.
is
Now, I
is
drove the first iteration of this 2 years ago, and I just thought it was great.
I thought it was great too. I mean, not to give it away on the interview, but I thought it drove well, and it had some utility. Um, but we'll go through that. We'll have an at the wheel review a little
Yeah,
bit later on, right? So
absolutely.
why don't you jump into our first story, and that is about Volkswagen holding the line on pricing when it comes to
Well,
tariffs.
VW is doing just that. It promises to hold the line on pricing, but they're not saying for how long. Um, a couple of months ago, they warned that it was likely going to have to increase sticker prices. Obviously, it's made in Germany, or most of them,
Right.
um, and because of the tariffs. Um, and in April, they had to, make some more decisions. And then an additional tariff on imported parts introduced in May. See how confusing this gets?
Yes, it's check your watch time.
Exactly. But they said they're going to hold steady, not charging you tariffs for the month of June,
Mm-hmm.
which is, well, it's long enough to buy one. it's,
Jump on
but
board.
but it's not so long that you can just sit around thinking about it.
Right.
Uh,
Now, conversely, Subaru was not able to hold the line, and they
right.
some of their vehicles are going to go up anywhere from $750 to $2,000 due to tariffs.
That's right. Now, since VW owns Audi, they're also holding pricing for June. Um, and Porsche, which they also own, is going to be deciding on
We'll get
summer
back to you.
pricing
We'll get
in
back
a
to you.
few days. In a
Yeah.
few days. Although, frankly, when you're talking Porsche, you're already up there in money. I don't know how much it's going to hurt you,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Although you would have
but
maybe liked to add more features to the vehicle, maybe it goes towards the tariffs now. Who knows?
yeah. And now the good thing is that the Volkswagen, the Atlas, the Cross Sport Atlas, the ID4 EV. They're all assembled down in Chattanooga, and their tariffs will be minimum on their non-U.S. parts content. So that is good. What's bad is that the Jetta, the Taos, and the Tiguan are all assembled in Mexico.
Yeah, and the Tiguan just had a brand new version that's coming out, so that
Yeah,
kind of hurts that for sure. Um, do you think the Jetta survives due to this?
I'm worried about the Jetta. I think it's not it's not it's a great car,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't seem to be appealing to the buying public.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. It. Well, let's just jump into our next story about tariff confusion. Now, this, I'm just going to read this because I don't know anything about this, but okay. So that you have the tariffs that were put on everything, 25%, right? Uh, and then you have the car tariffs. Okay, so they were both put on for different reasons. So not all the tariffs were applied under the authority of emergency economic powers.
Right.
The ones that were put under that were enacted under the Emergency Economic Powers Act. Those all have been temporarily uh, negated, I guess, by the U.S. Court of International Trade. Did you know there was a U.S. Court of International
In
Trade?
fact, I did because I know where the building is and I've passed it a number of times and it says U.S. Court of International Trade.
Right.
Um,
Did you
I
know what
didn't,
they did?
frankly,
I don't
no, no, of course
know.
not. Um, International trade.
It
You
was
know,
a
you have,
Customs Act of 1890, and it deals with civil actions resulting from U.S. customs and international trade laws, and is led by 9 presidentially appointed judges and is limited to no more than 5 judges of the same party.
yep. So they're pretty neutral.
Yeah. So
And yeah,
those tariffs have been blocked, but still, that does not involve the automotive uh,
no.
because they were not put under that authority. So that some tariffs, including steel and aluminum, will remain. Major tariffs on EV China will remain because they predate the administration. 25% tariffs on vehicles imported into the U.S. appears to remain in place. And those tariffs were imposed under what is called Section 232, not under the Emergency Powers Act.
Well, yes. Now, part of this is there's no emergency going on.
It
Uh,
and
this,
what? How do you? So if the engine you import has an aluminum block, are you
yeah.
paying on the engine or the aluminum that was used to make the block? And how do you figure how
Uh,
much aluminum was
well,
used
you
to
have
make the block and where it
you
came
have to
from?
know where the aluminum was made.
Sounds complex to me.
If it was made, aluminum is extremely energy intensive to make,
Mm-hmm.
but it's extremely cheap to recycle,
Mm-hmm.
which is the reverse of steel.
Right.
Um, so if it's see, it could be recycled aluminum,
Yeah. How's
but
that work?
well,
How's that figure in?
wherever it's recycled.
Well, the problem is the way it's done now is the connecting rods could be cast, let's say, of steel that's from another country, but they're cast in the U.S., but they're
Right.
sent out to Mexico for machining, certain parts of the machining. Then they're sent to Canada for some
Yeah.
other
For
thing.
special heat treating and yes,
Then they come back to
this
the
is
U.S. and they're put in
right.
the engine. So how
This
do you
is
tax
why
them?
you you need people who understand this, and sadly, the people who do understand it have largely been chased out of the government.
Mm.
And those who don't understand it are in charge. Um, in the cabinet positions and so on. They honestly, it's the gang that can't shoot straight. They don't have experts that they can turn to.
Wouldn't you have to hire a lot of people to figure this out?
Well, they're realizing that they've dug a hole here, and they are madly trying to hire consultants who
Yeah.
can
I just don't see
walk
how
them.
you figure out the tax. Like, okay, fine, there's a tax. So are manufacturers just taking their best guess and trying to say, "Hey, I made an honest
Yeah.
guess at trying
Well,
to
what they've
to
done right now is they've gone to the manufacturer saying, okay, you need to send us data on what percentage of aluminum are you using, and where's it coming from? Is it coming from the U.S., which makes a lot of aluminum?
mm-hmm,
But we also make a lot of aluminum around the world. It's wherever there's a water source to make power,
mm-hmm. That's
like
it.
Canada.
Right.
it's
But
it's
I
just
just don't know how when a part moves from border to border, across border, comes back, maybe goes
well,
back again. How do you figure
yeah.
that? Is it a
This is why
tariff each time?
everything worked just great before,
Hmm.
which is why it was done that way. But um, they once they get some expertise in their offices where they can pin down, you know, okay, what should be tariffed and what shouldn't. Frankly, nothing should, but they're not asking me that. Um, then I think the manufacturers and the producers will be able to iron this out. But remember, the tariff is paid at customs.
Right.
It's not paid at the dealership level.
Go
So if
ask
the
a dealer
dealer is
that.
charging you something for a tariff, you're being screwed. Don't do that.
Yep.
It's at customs, and customs, of course, is going crazy.
Let's talk
Big
about
delays.
something new from BMW, and this is quite the horsepower machine here.
Quite
M2
slick.
CS output of the for 2026. The horsepower is boosted to 523 with weight reduced by nearly 100 pounds. Sharpened dynamic responses, 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, top speed of 188 for a
That's
very affordable MSRP of $98,600 plus
well,
1,175 destination.
honestly, I kind of thought it would be cost more.
Um, Production of the BMW it begins at the Group Plant St. Louis
Potosi.
Potosi. Is that in Mexico?
I'm looking it up as we speak.
All right. I'll continue to talk about the
Yes.
model. Uh, this is from the release, of course. The latest CS model offers the ultimate in driving pleasure, both as a track tool and day-to-day use. Yes, it is in Mexico.
It's
It
a
is in
city in
Mexico.
Mexico, yes.
Starting in August 2025. That's when they're going to start building them. And is based on the second generation BMW M2 and builds on what is already an extraordinary level of performance. So the lightweight design, as we said, saves 100 pounds. It is a standard. The standard transmission is an 8-speed Steptronic equipped vehicle and that cuts the weight down. They've used some lightweight materials such as exterior and interior components made of carbon fiber and reinforced plastic CFRP. And they fitted the M2 CS with forged M alloy wheels as standard. 6-cylinder engine, 3-liter. That is an engine that's been around for quite some time. It has the Steptronic transmission. Maximum torque has been raised by 36 foot-pounds to 479.
Boy.
Yeah, as I said, 523 horsepower at 6,250 RPM. Red line is a screaming 7,200 RPM.
This thing's a rocket.
Yes, I bet that is one fun car to drive.
Yes, I don't think there's going to be one in the press fleet.
I like how they say ferocious acceleration from a standstill.
Ferocious, good word, good word.
Yeah, that's one of those words that sounds like it is, you know. And then chassis and brakes have been optimized for increased performance. So it's an old hot rodding trick. More horsepower and less weight.
Absolutely. Um, and big brakes. With all that power, you need big brakes.
Yes. With all that go, you need some whoa.
Need a lot of whoa. Yep.
And a lot of carbon fiber. So, yeah,
Yep.
$100,000. There you go. If that's $100,000, what is the M3?
Um, Good question.
I bet it's 130, something like
Gotta
that.
be. Gotta
Something
be.
like that. Yeah. Would you go for the smaller M2?
Well, I'd have to get them both because
Okay.
trade off.
Okay. All right. Well,
Those of us moneyed people.
you're a card carrying member of the Brotherhood of Muscle, aren't you, Les Jackson?
Absolutely. Um,
Well,
I have had my share of muscle.
okay. How about the Dodge Durango lineup for 2026? It was brought out and it expands the Hemi powered Durango RT choices with a new blacktop redline package. And the whole lineup actually gets refreshed wheels and a complete refresh, really. The Hemi power stays on. It's all new Hemi powered 2026 Dodge Durango RT blacktop redline. And we will tell you a little bit about that. That is includes 20 by 8 satin carbon wheels. That is a good thing. And then it uses satin carbon wheels. 20 by 10 lightweight forged lights out wheels are featured on the RT Redline Tow and Go and RT Blacktop Tow and Go. Tow and Go returns as a standalone package for the 2026 Durango RT, delivering best in class towing capability of 8,700 pounds.
That's hefty.
Yeah. Black Brembo calipers. There's the whoa thing. So capable, Hemi powered, pretty cool. Details on the 2026 Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat will be shared in Q3 in 2025. Something left to talk about there.
That's
Um,
right. And by the way, I'm rather impressed by the price. The Durango GT is just 38,495.
that's pretty amazing, right?
That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and that is powered by the Pentastar with 295 on the horsepower. The SRT, do we have pricing on the RT and the? I don't think we do.
Well,
I
the
don't.
RT says it starts at 49,995.
Not bad for a V8 powered
No,
machine like that.
almost $2,000 in shipping.
Yes, Stellantis has a lot of shipping prices. I think they stow
Yeah,
some money in that area. So pretty interesting. Hey, let's take a look at a new study about what would cause some people to buy an electric vehicle and what some of their thoughts are and what's the deciding factor. This comes from notice the segue. American Muscle. This is the group that has done this study. Once again, it's something you're probably involved with, American Muscle, Les Jackson. But they wanted to find out what's holding people back from buying it, right? Now, some said it was too expensive, the time to charge it,
Hmm.
uh, the cost. But 11% said they had no interest in buying an EV whatsoever. And 19% said they wouldn't switch even if charging was as easy as pumping gas. Uh, 1 in 6 buyers considered buying an EV but changed their mind when they got to the dealership. Yay, doing their job there, aren't they?
Wow. Yeah, but why did they change their mind?
Probably cost could be
Probably.
could be. I had a friend that went and bought a Volkswagen Golf EV, and the guy's like, "Why do you want to buy that? You have to plug it in." Way to sell. Um,
Great selling.
this was a kind of an interesting thing. AI and chatbots are seen largely as untrustworthy, with only 30%, 36% of drivers interested in using a chat bot during the shopping experience. I don't like chatbots, although some can
Uh,
be good, but some I don't know. Some of it's like, oh, let me tell you about one more thing. Nope, I don't want to know one more thing.
right.
All right.
Well,
So, what would according to the study by American Muscle, what would make people buy an electric vehicle? What was the
well,
key thing? And it was a lifetime warranty on the battery.
right. Yeah, that seems to be. I wouldn't have thought that would be the number one.
Okay.
And by the way, for millennials, that's 80% say that that's the deal point. Um, because it seems to me a lifetime battery warranty, that battery will be obsolete in 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, and some of them are already warranted for a significant amount of time. I believe Rivian warrants it for 8 years. Some other manufacturers warrant it for 10 years. Uh, one way around that is to lease it, right? And then you turn it in.
Right, right.
Then it's not your problem anymore.
Exactly. That's what we keep suggesting to people that are interested in one, lease one,
Yeah, as
and you'll
as
either
one of
fall
my
in love
neighbors
with it or,
did.
yeah,
Yeah. And he said, yeah, by 3 years from now, who knows what will be available? Something better, maybe. And I said,
that's
absolutely.
right. Um,
Absolutely.
and then there are some people, actually, it's funny, 19% say they wouldn't switch even if charging was as easy as pumping gas, even no matter what. They just don't want an electric vehicle.
Okay.
All
All right.
right.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have a problem. I think there will be gas-powered vehicles for them.
Yeah. But
Uh, but and they probably haven't driven one. I would say that. I'll make that wide assumption that they probably haven't
that's
driven one.
right. Now, and Tesla covers your battery for 8 years, but of course, uh, that's a 150,000 mile battery plan,
Uh-oh.
which with your current Tesla is just driving to the next town and back as, as
That's
it
right. The town's
as it
15
racks up
miles away,
false
but it
miles.
registers as
Yeah. Sorry,
100,000
you've
miles.
been 150.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, 10 years is a long time for a battery or for anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it is for any battery. The fact that they warranted for 8 years, I think, is pretty generous. And I think, as we say, just lease it right now, and that's the way to
But
get around that.
wouldn't wouldn't you have thought that the biggest drawback, the biggest negative is charging convenience? Wouldn't I
Yeah.
mean, you and I have driven all the electric vehicles, and we agree that charging convenience is the biggest single issue.
Yeah. I mean, for example, I told my neighbor, whatever you do, have a charger installed in your garage, the level 2, and you'll be fine. You just put it in there. You get 20 or
Yeah,
so miles every hour. You come home from work. You charge it up. You're never going to have a problem. If you go to charge it around here at a higher speed charger, where I am, it is a problem for some reason. It's like
it is.
it's not half the things are broken, or they're
And
just
it's expensive. You're paying easily sometimes 40 cents a kilowatt hour.
yeah. So if you're gonna right now, I would say charge going on a trip in it. I'd say have a gas vehicle. Probably is the
Yeah,
best bet
yeah.
to do that. But um, yeah, it will change. It will change little by little, and the it will get better. It will get better. And I'm waiting for
Of course.
supercapacitors. There was an article on
Yeah.
that where that will be happening eventually. So
Supercapacitors are a great way to go.
1 minute charge will
Yeah,
be faster. Then once it gets faster, like bing, you charge. Maybe you pull up to a toll gate. Uh, the gate goes down. Bing,
that's
it
right.
charged. I also think eventually there might be a battery where it never needs to be charged for the life of the vehicle. You know, as you were saying, the
Yeah,
battery.
once the uh, once the Chinese practicalize, there's a word for you,
It's a
the
lot of syllables there.
not nuclear powered battery. That's it. It lasts basically as long as you will.
Yeah. So you'll have the problem of probably the car will fall apart and you'll take the battery out and
Yeah.
have to, put it in something else.
Well, you could put it into your house as a standby battery.
Exactly. Hey, let's talk some pricing from Kia, and that is on their big 3-row electric EV9. We've got some pricing for 2026 on this, and the folks at Kia have done very well with this vehicle. The EV Lite SR is 54,900. The EV Lite LR long range 57,900. EV9 Wind 63,900. EV9 Land 68,900 and EV9 GT Line 71,900.
That's getting up there.
Major updates. Options. Nightfall Edition on Land offers design and performance enhancements. Nightfall Edition on Land offered with both 6-passenger and 7-passenger seating configurations, meaning you have captain's chairs in the second row as an option. Increased all-electric range on select trims. The light long range model gets an estimated 305 miles. The Wind and Land get 283 miles, and the GT line, the price of performance, 280 miles. All-wheel drive trims include terrain mode, which is snow, mud, and sand. That replaces 4-wheel drive 3. There's two-tone exterior color added for the GT line, glacial white pearl with ebony black roof. Two-color exterior added wolf gray and ebony black roof for the GT line. For Nightfall, new Road Rider brown, exclusive exterior color. Brown, I don't know, brown. But and then Nightfall Edition, exclusive interior seat stitching pattern and design elements. So popular vehicle, kind of the electric Telluride over
Yep.
at Kia, right?
Yep. It is, and they're selling well, in spite of the money. They do. They have an appeal,
Yep.
and
305 miles of range, not bad for a large
that
vehicle.
is, considering the size of this thing,
Yeah.
300 miles is extremely impressive.
Yes. Well, you and I discussed this. What is the average range of a midsize SUV? It's
Gas type?
yeah, probably around 300, right?
About 300. I mean, typically, these things are not getting more than something in the 20s per gallon,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got maybe a 20-gallon gas tank, but you're carrying a lot of weight.
Right,
So, yeah, you're going to start looking for a gas station after about 300 miles.
right, right. All right. Well, interesting pricing from the folks over at Kia. Let's talk about what's going on at Nissan. Of course, Nissan is trying very hard to cut its costs, and one of the problems, or one of the vehicles that just got cut because of tariffs and also because of uh, just the cost to build it, is the Versa 5-speed. The Versa 5-speed was the least expensive car. It was right around sold in America. The least expensive car, 18,331.
Yeah, boy, oh boy, that's 2010 prices.
Yes. So now, since there's no more 5-speed manual, the price will jump up to 20,130. And this car is built in Mexico. They're talking about bringing production to the U.S., but it's hard for them to make money on the Versa. Nice little
Well,
car,
yeah.
not a lot of power, but a decent car for the price. And there's talk that they might move it to the Canton, Mississippi plant to be built. But no more 5-speed. No more 5-speed available in this. I don't know what the take rate was on it anyway, but
Yeah, I don't think they sell a whole lot of them, and I think a lot of people go with the Sentra when they get to the dealership.
yeah. Um,
Just a little bit more money, and it's bigger.
and I also think that might be a potentially built in the U.S. They might move that to the U.S. They
Yeah.
have more capacity here that they're not doing anything with right now, so I think we might see that, right?
Oh, actually, they have it here. Actually, it's a large number. They sold 42,589 verses last year in the
But
U.S.
not of manuals.
No, no, only about 2,100 manual cars.
It doesn't pay for them to make it. It's
Not
complex.
really. I mean, honestly, you just have to give it up.
Yeah, it's it's great to have an inexpensive car, but probably for a couple of thousand more, it's a good bet that you get the
Yeah.
CVT for this. It's just not gonna. And I think probably a lot of people don't want to sell those, right? Well, you had that with your car. You had a manual, right?
I had a manual, and no one wanted it.
Yeah. They're like, no one knows how to drive that. Sorry.
Yeah.
But they
No,
eventually
that's
sold.
exactly right.
It eventually sold, and it would go. They thought it would go
It
down to South America or something,
it
right?
went down to South America where people do know how to drive a manual, and
Yeah,
that's just fine.
yeah, yeah. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Well, there you have it. The manual goes away. Um, it's hard to say what will happen to a lot of those inexpensive cars. There's just not a lot of meat on the bone for them to make money with, right?
Well, that's true, but I still believe there's going to be a reversal in the next few years where people downsize a lot in both vehicle size and purchase size.
Okay. Let's
I,
talk about Volvo and their EX90. It was announced this week that they were shutting down production in the U.S. of the EX90, and they suspended it. They didn't shut it down uh, due to parts shortage. They are forced to suspend production of in the Ridgeville, South Carolina plant. It's due to the shortage of unspecified parts for the EX90 EV. And they recently announced they would cut 125 jobs at the same facility. Um, Part shortage, supply chains, they can be long, they can be difficult, but
Yep.
having a whole plant shut down is not a great thing, is it?
Well, that's some serious daily overhead loss, um, millions of dollars. So hopefully they can get this thing fixed, but they don't know how long the shutdown's going to be.
Or we don't know what the part
Customers,
is.
no, no. Actually, it's funny. We don't know what the parts are.
Yeah. So,
So this could be pretty serious, more so than we think.
uh,
And what's going on? I don't know.
do you think that we will see more of this as parts, suppliers, they're moving around and changing around and trying to avoid tariffs and maybe going with new vendors? Do you think this will be a new
Um,
something
I
we'll see
wouldn't be
more of?
surprised. I think, one thing about the market is that suppliers of everything tend to find ways around the problems.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes not exactly legal, but they find ways.
They get creative.
Creative, selective disregard of the regulations.
Or a new interpretation of regulations.
Exactly.
Creative interpretation of regulations. How's that sound?
That's right. That's right.
Hey, let's do another at the wheel. This
Sure.
time, it is the 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe Limited. Their top of the range vehicle, all wheel drive. And this is built on the Tucson uh, chassis. So you can get a Tucson SUV or you can get a Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz, it has the pickup truck bed in the back, and it is about 627 pounds lighter than
Hmm.
the Tucson. I also found it's got something that you can't get in the Tucson, which is a 281 horsepower, 300 pound foot, 2.5 liter turbocharged engine. This made this thing move quite nicely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll bet.
On the inside, the big news for the 2025 model year is it gets the upgraded and modernized interior with the big display, the new controls. It's got this great kind of cloth and soft touch materials on the door card, some piano black as well. And then you get that big display for the gauges that flows right into the infotainment system. Controls are a mixture of dedicated buttons and some haptic touch controls. Heated steering wheel, two-stage, heated and cooled front seats, plenty of plug-ins and wireless charging available. And that cloth insert goes all along the interior and onto the door cards. It's a nice touch. I think it's a great thing adding that in. You also get this nice shelf for the passenger's phone, which is great. Out back, legroom is a little tight. You sit upright. The rear seat cushion is upright. You do get a small manually sliding window, rear window. If you have something long you want to put through that window, you can do that. You do get some under-seat storage in these two bins. This one had the front license plate cover waiting to be installed on this vehicle. But legroom was a bit of a tight commodity. Nice job, Hyundai. They didn't cheap out on the door cards and have a cup holder on these door cards in the back. And you do get USB-C and some vents. Overall, nice update. It has the shift-by-wire control. I'm sorry, it doesn't have the shift-by-wire control. It has the regular shifter. Hard to open the tonneau cover. When I shot this, it was cold and icy, but it is an accordion sort of roll top, I would call it, cover, tonneau cover. There is the 2.5 liter T engine, which did a nice job of powering this. As I said, 281 horsepower, 5,000 pounds of towing capability with this setup. That is with all-wheel drive if you use a trailer with brakes on it. I love the textured arches here with a little off-road symbol. You do get roof racks, which you can carry some pretty significant things on the roof. As I said, that's the roll top out back. You do get under bed storage and some side bed storage, enclosed storage, which is nice. And handy little bed. It did freeze up in the cold, that's for sure. That it took me a little bit to get that open. Good looking vehicle though. The Limited gets the upgraded wheels, it gets the leather interior, and really just it's pretty luxurious on the inside. I felt that it was a very fun to drive vehicle. I know you said this too. Uh, I guess the question with this always is sort of like the El Camino problem. Is it a car? Is it a truck? Is it an SUV? Um, you know, what do you think? It is. It does have utility. You can carry higher, taller items than you could in the Tucson, but you do suffer a little bit in the rear legroom. I'm not sure. Not rated yet for safety. On the highway, 27 miles to the gallon. In the city, 19. 22 is the aggregate number. Final assembly, Montgomery, Alabama. Engine is USA and transmission is USA and Korea. Um, you do get the big Hyundai warranty on this 5 year, 60,000 mile new car vehicle warranty, 10-year, 100,000 mile powertrain warranty. This was Atlas white with a dark green interior, dark green over dark green, which is not too much of a contrast there. We got a little
No,
orange
no.
stitching, a little bit of a trim piece in the seats, and kind of like a matte aluminum look. Um, Nice update on the interior for sure, and that's something that we're seeing across other Hyundai vehicles. Advanced safety technologies, um, front side and side curtain airbags, and rear seat side airbags, forward collision avoidance assist, lane keeping assist, lane following assist, driver attention warning, forward attention warning, blind spot collision warning, blind spot view monitor, rear cross traffic collision avoidance, safe exit warning, and an immobilizer. That would be the modern version of an alarm system, I guess.
Very cool.
You could slap your kayak right on top of this vehicle, Les, and
You're
still
right.
have room
You're right.
left for stuff in the bed. I love the cover. The only problem, as I said, was that when it froze up, it was hard to operate. But if I spent more time cleaning it off before opening it, it would have been fine. But what do you think on a vehicle like this? Can this compete with something like a Ford Maverick, which is a little more of a truck, or some of Honda's offerings that are probably closer to this?
I think it competes pretty well. I think the typical person that gets a Maverick is less concentrating on a work truck and more concentrating on a convenience truck.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Hyundai does exactly that. I mean, it's it can, it's an SUV and it's a pickup truck.
It's got a cargo light, so it means it's got to
See?
be good. Um, they even sell a XRT version of this, more of an off-roady type look version of this, with a little bit raised up, different front fascia, some more aggressive tires. You got to have it if you have an SUV.
Gotta have it.
Is it worth the trade-off? Would you be better off just getting the SUV, um, and you have that enclosed space, more enclosed space? I don't know.
I guess it depends on your lifestyle. If you're a do-it-yourselfer,
Mm-hmm.
um, lots of trips all the time to the center, the building center, then I think you want this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh, Revised front end too. It's got those segmented lights, and the headlights are actually down low. The headlights are a little bit below the bumper or at bumper level, which is interesting. Um, I like the silhouette. People say it looks like a Brat, a Subaru Brat, a bigger
Yeah.
Brat.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but I think it gives you a lot of what people really want in the pickup truck. But car-like interior. Is it truck enough for some people? I don't know. It's got truck elements like that step bumper, and as I said, the cargo light, and yeah, you get a tailgate, and you get covered storage, covered lockable storage, which I think is great in a pickup truck. Uh, just don't. I don't think the rear seat's as comfortable. I think that's the problem. They to get the bed in, they probably shortened up the leg room. Uh, but it's got everything in it. That's the thing. You're not nickel and dimed by Hyundai. They give you virtually everything, and of course, this is the top of the range model. We didn't discuss price. I wanted to discuss price on this. So, the manufacturer suggested retails 42,550. They only added carpeted floor mats for 210. Destination is $1,395. Total price $44,105.
Hmm.
So it's about the price of a plug-in hybrid version of an SUV. So you kind of compare and contrast those two.
Yeah.
Tucson, of course, you can get plug-in hybrid and hybrid. You can't get the hybrid on the Santa Fe, but you can get the turbocharged 2.5 liter engine with 281 horsepower. I believe the standard non-turbo 2.5 has 190 something horsepower. So 281 is a lot for this. It's a good
Yeah,
punch.
that's hefty.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, there you have it. At the wheel review of the 2025 Santa Cruz Limited all-wheel drive. You can get it in front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. I would venture guess most people will go for the all-wheel drive. But hey, we do appreciate you listening to Cruise Control. We're glad you always join us. Don't forget, check us out on our social media at Cruise Control Motoring on YouTube and some of our other cruise control outlets. It's time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.
Bye.